Hello, world. My name is Neferteri Strickland, founder of Teachers and a Benefit LLC. With a generous grant from the Pollination Project, we have created this virtual space for a read-along from women of color in tech. It's a blueprint for inspiring and mentoring the next generation of technology innovators. 7th and 8th grade girls are getting exposed to the lessons learned in the tech industry. I would like to introduce you to the founder of Girls Lead in Science and Technology, Melina. Is she frozen?
Hello.
Awesome.
Nice to see you all again for Chapter 8. Looking forward to the talk.
Great. And along with Melina, a GLIST instructor and virtual camp coordinator, Kelly. Welcome to the conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So over these last 7 chapters, our readers have been on a journey of self-discovery and exploration to make this read-along amazing. It's unique in a lot of ways, but specifically because we've been joined and supported by the book's author, Susanne Tedrick. Susanne, welcome.
Thank you, ladies. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
So we've looked at a lot of realities that women of color specifically, but more generally, individuals, women, men, have to crawl, walk, then run towards their careers in technology. This week feels like the talk, right? Chapter
Getting
8,
real.
it's getting real. And this is, to me, this is one of the most important conversations that an entry-level employee has for the first time. And then subsequently, every time they have to have this talk about job offers and negotiating compensation, it feels like the moment. Susanne, what do you want readers to focus on in Chapter 8?
So I think what I'd like them to understand is that just as we were talking about having those professional skills and technical skills are incredibly important, understanding what you need and want and value out of your next position and whether or not that is going to align with the people who are interested in you is incredibly important to know. It's incredibly important to know what your value is, so to make sure that you're being paid fairly. It's important that the organization that you're going to be with not only gives you, what your compensation should be, but they are aligning to many of your own personal goals and aspirations in terms of your career. It's also really important to understand kind of the nuances of what compensation looks like. Many people just think that compensation is just the pay that you get, but it encompasses so much more. It's your pay, it's your insurance, it's do you get educational benefits, your time off. It's the totality of what this company is saying I'm going to give to you, so that you can bring your talents and the best of yourself to us. So really getting to understand that a little bit better. This goes into a lot of nitty gritty about compensation terms, but I do think it's important to know so that when you navigate that first internship offer or the first job offer, you have a good understanding of the questions that you should be asking, as well as some other areas that you might want to find more information on.
Well, I guess to start us off, I gotta say, in looking at this chapter, I think one of the biggest things that I took away was learning not to be over humbled by a job and salary offer, and knowing to find a balance in having gratitude, but also being able to satisfy your your financial. And I think at least speaking for myself, as someone, or as many of the people who've been involved in GLIST, who've put their poured their souls into the initiative and to being passionate about technology and representation in technology, I think we may easily fall victim to the I care only about the work, not the money mindset. And I think in reading this chapter, I I think it helped me become more real with like what needs we will need to eat and satisfy in order to like have and make a living. And I think it kind of brought back the realness instead of just like the glorifying the idea of just being in a job or an area that you like, but also knowing what it takes to make that sustainable for you. So I think it was very much, bringing us to that kind of adult phase of our lives. And again, kind of this message that we've been spreading throughout these past chapters is, to our readers is kind of the worthiness and wisdom of, having this book before you actually reach that stage of your life, so that what to expect. Like in this case, it's even down to like the letter from the employer, like what to expect to see in that. And then also knowing where to go to know what to expect in terms of, researching reasonable salaries and things like that. It's great to have this ahead of time. So Kelly, how about you? What were your thoughts? Do you find value in having this, before you reach that stage? Anything?
Yeah, of course. I agree with a lot of the points that you made. Just like reading this chapter, I learned so many things. Like I grew up in a working class home. Like my dad, he works in construction. He doesn't have like any like formal like employer or anything like that. So for me, I don't have anyone at home to explain like, oh, this is what you can expect from your employer. The ethical practices of the workplace, like what should or shouldn't you avoid, stuff like that. So this book, I took away that most of all that women, especially since I identify as a person of color, the main thing to take away from this book is that it's our right as women to demand what is right and fair for us. Like we see in the workplace all the time that we may get discriminated against and like in a variety of different ways. Like it may be racially, it may be like with our age. I know Ms. Tedrick also warned us about like how employers are not supposed to ask you certain questions, like if you plan to be pregnant or not, stuff like that. That is very important to know as a woman in the workplace who's trying to make a difference in the STEM field. So I thank Miss Tedrick for giving me all that like wonderful advice, information that I'm definitely going to want to take in mind in my future career.
Thank you both for that. I really felt that it was I realized that this is not the most technical chapter, and it's not necessarily talking about anything, sexy in technology. But I thought it was very important because sometimes I think as women, we're asked to do so much and we're expected to do so much with perhaps maybe gratitude, but not necessarily having the paycheck to reflect it. So sometimes people will project, well, you should do it for the team, you should do it to be happy here, a number of different things to justify why you shouldn't, get more money. And I am always grateful to have a job. I'm always grateful to have wonderful people. But the thing that I was articulating at the beginning of the chapter was talking about what happens when all you think about is, I'm just happy to be here. And it has real economic effects that you may or may not be able to recover from. And and when I wrote that particular story, about me like not asking for salary and being paid a lot less than I should have, I felt like it was very important to kind of tell that story, because I don't want that to happen to other women, especially in technology. And I know that for women who are in technology, I know that was one of the main reasons they cite for potentially leaving altogether, like lack of advancement opportunities, not having pay equity, not being paid on par with their male counterparts. So I felt it was very, very, very necessary to have that conversation, to be open and candid, so that when it is time for you to do that, whether it's internships or deciding to take on a full-time job, you're ready to ask the questions. You're ready for it not to be kind of a one-sided dialogue. And you don't have to necessarily think that the offer that they're putting in front of you is the one that you have to take immediately, because you may be perceived as greedy or something else. There really is absolutely nothing wrong with asking for what your value is. And it's important to practice that early and often in your career.
Well, thank you all for joining us, all the readers. Susanne, of course, always thank you for gracing us with all of your wisdom in the book and in the flesh. We only have a few chapters left, and we have an announcement. So we have an end of the review get together on December 10th. Melina is going to put that link there for you in the weekly newsletter, and we'd love to see you all there. So Melina, Kelly, thank you for joining us. GLIST girls, enjoy reading this next chapter of Women of Color in Tech. It's a blueprint for inspiring and mentoring the next generation of technology innovators. Enjoy chapter 8.